Hey, the name of this channel is Unknowingness, but why exactly? What does it mean? The state of not knowing. Awesome. Why would I name a channel like that? First of all, it's a loose translation of my surname. My surname is Niewiadomski, which is a Polish surname. And I just realized I said it in a weird accent, which is interesting. Huh, how we change our identities within different languages. Huh? We'll talk about it in a moment. Anyway, unknowingness because that's what I aspire to be. I'm not sure who I am exactly, and I'm trying to dig into that, and I try to learn who exactly I am. And that's a very big spiritual question, isn't it? Who am I? That's what a lot of people have been asking for centuries. Yeah. So now we know unknowingness because this channel is about exploring. It's about seeing what I can do. It's about seeing how authentic I can become. And also about different things that could potentially be helpful for other people. And you never know what's going to happen. You never know what you're going to say. You never know how you're going to behave exactly. Because even though there is a pattern that you follow and your subconscious mind follows a pattern, ideally, you want to break the pattern because otherwise it could be harmful to you, right? Even if it's super positive, at some point it can finish and you need to do something completely different. That's it. So, unknowingness is a very interesting idea, and I want it to be that way. Hmm. Yep. Then you can see my jackets. You can see my shoes, but I need to get rid of them because it gets smelly. The leather and old, and I've had them for 5 years. Some rubbish that I need to take out. Okay, that's right. Yeah. Then what else? As you know, my name is Marek, and I've just been doing the dishes, and I've been wondering why I say my name in a strange way when I speak English because I don't use the original Polish pronunciation, but I change it a little bit because it rolls off the tongue easily, and I just do that, and it's natural to me. And then I had the aha moment, and it's about identity, because with every language that you speak, you change your identity. If the language is integrated somehow into your system, into your psyche, then you tend to use it a little bit differently. You tend to blend into it, and it's kind of an instrument of your expression. So you build a completely different identity or slightly different identity with each language that you learn. That's why it's so beneficial too, because it gives you some modalities to work with yourself, to express yourself, to show what you can um, it shows you what you can experience in life. And it's usually different because each language has its own way of expression. Each language has its way of tapping into different energies and emotions. Um, it's also connected to the culture, isn't it? For example, I don't know, if you speak British English, you will tap into different national traits comparing comparing it to speaking American English, for example, or Australian English. So it even works within the language itself. But then if you speak Polish, you might be able um, to tap into sadness more easily, or nostalgia, or żal, which is a typically Polish emotion, I believe, which would be a type of grief. And then you tap into it just because of the historical background and historical baggage that the language has, right? So think about it, and then if you see this video, tell me what you think about it. If you speak a few languages, or even just one, but you have some opinions about this, let me know, because it's super interesting, right? Because I believe if you speak Spanish, you can tap into the more fiery side of yourself, the more passionate side of yourself. If you speak Italian, it's the same. You can find your passion for food and for people, and you can become more expressive, and you can use gestures just because it's being integrated into your system. And otherwise, this would not happen, and you maybe wouldn't be able to do that. It's just incredible. Yeah. And I'm wondering, especially if you speak some kind of an exotic language, and I know there's globalization, but let's say a language that is not within the European language family, Indo-European, so you speak Mandarin or Cantonese or whatever. Tell me how this affects your identity and how exactly this shows in your everyday life, because that's super interesting to explore. Exactly. Hmm. Yeah. And then, I also wanted to tell you today, I wanted to tell you the story of my stone. Maybe of all my stones. This one is called lapis lazuli. Lapis lazuli has been super important for centuries, and especially in Renaissance Europe, because, it used to be excavated, this particular stone, in only one place in the world, in Afghanistan, in the mountains of Afghanistan. And it was a very difficult process, so bringing it to Europe would take a lot of strife and a lot of, well, money, of course. So then they'd do it, but then it would be nearly as expensive as gold. And people would buy it for artists, for example, and a lot of Renaissance artists would use it. Why would you use stone if you're an artist? You'd ask me. They would grind it into powder. They would grind it into powder, and then they would make paint out of it. And the paint is called ultramarina, ultramarine, ultramarina, I think. And it's a wonderful shade of blue. It's a wonderful hue, and you can see it in paintings of Vermeer, and you can see it in Leonardo da Vinci's works, I think, and other Renaissance painters. And it's just incredible. So if you ever have a chance of obtaining it, I know now it's not difficult, but if you haven't heard about it before, it's just simply gorgeous. So do it, yeah. And then I'll tell you about these. This is a yellow this is yellow aventurine that I got from my friend and student Franca, who went to Salò near Lake Garda in Italy and brought it to me, and it's wonderful. I also had red jasper that was the same style as this, and then suddenly walking through Città Alta in Bergamo, it got hooked on a metal fence, and it just popped right out there, and all the little bees just went flying around, which was pretty spectacular, to be honest. And yeah, so I just assumed I didn't need it anymore. That's what I assumed. And then I have this wonderful green jade ring. I got it in Florence on my trip, and then I said that I got engaged to myself, which I thought it was what was a really wonderful concept, to get engaged to yourself. Yeah, it's just beautiful, and it kind of reminds me of freedom and the ability to decide about my life. Um, it basically gives me some sort of reassurance. So that's amazing. Plus, it looks awesome because I never wear rings. Exactly. So that will be about it for today. I just wanted to tell you a few things, and this is the second day of my little challenge about self-discipline, as I told you before. Mm, we'll see each other tomorrow. Once again, I'm thinking about talking about languages that I speak, and hopefully I can get better at them in the future. Alrighty, thanks so much. Bye bye. Have a great evening. Again. See ya.